Michael has already robbed a few of my lines, which is how did you get on over lunch, you know. But so first of all, I'm sure that you're all well fed. I'm hoping that you've had some sugar and at least coffee, because we need to get through the rest of the afternoon. So again, thanks Michael for the introduction. Louise McKeever is my name. I'm the Chief Information Officer at the Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine. And despite the slight delay now with the tech challenges, hopefully everything will go smoothly from here on in. And so what I'm going to talk primarily about is open source within the department. And open source is nothing new, but I'm going to focus today very much on our enterprise platform, which is Kubernetes, right? So it's an open source container system for automating our software deployments. Obviously it does lots of other things, but that's one of the primary functions. So it would be remiss of me to go straight into the technology without actually giving you a bit of context around the department's business, which is quite complicated. So the agri-food sector includes primary production in farming, fishing and forestry, and the processing and manufacture of food, beverages and wood products. It is Ireland's oldest and largest indigenous sector and reaches out to every corner of the country and across our seas. The sector is responsible for over 4.5 million hectares of agricultural land, 770,000 hectares of forestry, and produces close to 10% of Ireland's exports every year. So just to give you a flavour of the size of the department, so we have over 4,000 staff. Our HQ is just around the corner here in Aghouse in Kildare Street, and we have offices in Backweston and Selbridge. Our forestry is based in Johnstown Castle in Wexford. We have our schemes and payments in Portlaoise, Cavan for accounts, and we have marine based in Clonakilty, and then we have regional offices spread throughout the country. So the department continues to expand in size and scale. Now, as you all know, we have a new government. The last government we had a Prime Minister and 2 Ministers of State. We now have 3 Ministers of State. So that kind of gives you an indication of, I suppose, increasing scale in the department. I think just for understanding what separates the Department of Agriculture from other large departments is the scale of business. So we have responsibility for animal health and welfare, food safety, farm schemes and payments, forestry and the marine sector, so it's incredibly broad. And we are constantly subjected to legislative and regulatory change. So if I was to look at the Common Agricultural Policy alone, we built 22 new schemes, and then that will undergo change through regulatory and legislative basis. And the CAP strategic plan itself will go redevelop in the next 2 to 3 years, because it goes through a cycle of every 5 to 7 years. So it's really just to give you a flavour that our systems really need to be technically agile in order to adapt to the change. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the journey for where we're coming from. So our enterprise systems, and that's to underpin all the areas of the department's business, sit on what's known as an N-tier environment. And that platform has been built up over the last 20 years. The N-tier architecture is a multi-layered client-server architecture in which the presentation, processing and data functions are divided into separate physical layers, or tiers. The presentation tier is responsible for presenting information in a readable format back to the user. The middle layer manages all the processing, which is where the code is, and the database tier obviously holds all the data. And a characteristic of the N-tier is that one must pass through one tier to get to the next. So you might ask, if it's built up over the last 20 years, it works, it pays out and does it well, why should we change? And I alluded to this earlier on around kind of that technical agility piece. So we need to be able to change and adapt quickly. And Gartner there on the slide lists drivers for change. But I just want to give you a little bit more about the DAFM context. So currently our applications they're always on, always consuming power, so it's not very sustainable. Each environment needs to be monitored and maintained, configured and patched. And as the needs change, say for argument's sake, we increase the number of customers accessing an application, so that's unexpected. That may mean a change in, like a configuration change across all the environments, which is very manual. So that's one at a time for that application. So these multiple environments need manual care and configuration, and obviously that takes time, it impacts projects, timelines, and obviously if you have to make a fast change, that makes it incredibly challenging. Not only that, the skill set required to make these changes, we're finding it more and more difficult to find that skill set. And just the style of delivery is going out of fashion. A critical factor for moving away from the architecture I would have mentioned earlier on is around the scale itself and the capacity to grow or respond to new emerging demands, and indeed new and emerging technology. But a fundamental challenge is how manual it is and how it's not, we can't automate a lot of the processes. So moving forward now, I want to talk a little bit about Kubernetes. So back in 2017, the department underwent a program of work to analyse our IT architecture, and that was to make recommendations for how to modernise and be future ready. From a technology perspective, the recommendation was to move away from the N-tier and to start using containers for applications. The leading technology was called Kubernetes, and OpenShift then is that product for enterprise Kubernetes, but it's wrapped up in security and compliance and governance. But it's not just a shift in technology, it's also a huge cultural change. So one of the first solutions that was delivered, and I suppose back in 2019 we would have had what we class as a pilot installation of it. And that was built on 311, and it was one cluster where we had dev and production on that one cluster. And the first implementation was very much around kind of testing the water to see if it actually gave us that technical agility, being able to rapidly adapt to change. And the first service that we delivered on the platform was what's known as the Smart Tech solution. And the rationale for delivering that solution was in relation to processing of grant applications, which are submitted by farmers or their agents. And sometimes incorrect documents were submitted by applicants, which led to data breaches in violation of GDPR, which I'm sure we're all familiar with. So we worked with Red Hat and our IT service provider version 1 to create the Smart Tech solution, which is a machine learning text analysis platform that scans documents and images for sensitive information and prevents unauthorized access. So with a foundation built using a container management technology, the department then ensures that correctly categorized documents while also protecting the back-end systems. And this also confirmed for us that the Red Hat OpenShift platform was to be our strategic platform of choice. And you can see on the slide there, we did win an award in 2021 for that Smart Tech solution. And there's a link there, I know you'll get the slides afterwards, there's a link actually giving you more details of what that solution is. So after a comprehensive review in 2022, we then moved towards upgrading the platform, and that was to enable our modernization program. And that program was to transition to to move our schemes and payments away from the N-tier to the OpenShift platform. The upgrade project involved moving away from 311 to 410 and is a critical component for digital enablement. And I just want to go through a short video, and hopefully it'll work, that'll actually go through that in a little bit more detail.
Application development is an ongoing need for any enterprise serving customers and staff in a digital age. As new and emerging business needs arise, an organisation must have the capability to move quickly to effectively address those needs. One of the main challenges of meeting these business requirements is finding a flexible and speedy platform to design and deploy business solutions. Efficiency is also important, and government organisations in particular are aware of ensuring value is provided by the technologies and toolsets that will provide that ability. At the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine, our research guided us to the conclusion that a services-based architecture using containers and doing DevOps, along with supporting modern IAM, would provide the capabilities we needed. Prior to this, our toolbox was limited. There was no ability to use containers, no API management solution or process automation manager. Our previous Identity Access Management, or SSO solution, was based on old technology and not an OAuth OpenID compliant solution, the modern standard. We have found a way to tackle these needs with the help of Red Hat OpenShift. Developed in parallel to an existing application server platform, we now can launch projects on OpenShift and take advantage of a wealth of new tools and the DevOps methodology to accelerate development. This also gives us the flexibility to quickly prototype and demo solutions, to discard what doesn't work and adopt what does, as well as adapt and modernize established applications to meet changing business needs. Since March 2020, we have already over 500 pods deployed on OpenShift. Many projects are composed of several containers, breaking functions into components and making releases and testing easier and more efficient. OpenShift in turn offers built-in security and reliability, As we move away from the old systems, our priority is to move fully to RHSSO and modern IAM standards. In doing this, we also aim to scale and begin the creation of a developer portal, helping to share services and APIs. And the platform itself is being doubled in size to ensure robustness and performance of applications there. Our architecture modernization project has created the toolbox and the capability we need as an organization in a digital age. No matter where our customers are, no matter the time, we will be in a position to reach them. To find out more, contact us today.
So I think the video describes very well how we're balancing kind of business as usual as well as modernization. So you probably figured that out, that we actually have the two architectures in play, and that allows us to kind of continue to deliver the department's business that's ever changing and then slowly modernize onto the OpenShift platform. And one of the first deliverables on the upgraded platform was the National Fertilizer Database. That was delivered on the 410 instance, and you can see from the slide there, it won the Public Sector Digital Transformation Award back in 2023 in the Green Tech category. So just to, I suppose, bring you up to today, because the video is slightly out of date. So we have 5 clusters, and on those 5 clusters we have production, development, pre-development, management and disaster recovery for production. And that allows us to isolate workloads and improve performance. Now, when I gave this presentation last year, if I can remember my stats correctly, I think we had just under 3,000 pods, 21 business units, supporting 21 business units, 55 live apps, and 400 developers. So that will just give you a flavour of, I suppose, the pace of modernisation over the last year. So containers, I suppose, supports microservices-based architecture, and that allows frequent independent updates of components, which drastically reduces the risk of releases and accelerates the ability to respond to our customers' needs. So just a little bit about kind of green IT. I would have mentioned it earlier on during the entire platform and how it's not sustainable. So I suppose that architecture regarding sustainability is not green, and that's because it's always on. And OpenShift gives us, I suppose, sustainable IT or green IT. And there's 3 aspects that I'd like to cover in relation to sustainable computing, which is the light switch ops, Quarkus and Kepler. So light switch ops, as like ideally no system should be always on unless it's absolutely needed. So light switch ops describes the automation to support frequently scaling up and down. Quarkus is used for code optimization as well as compiling code for improved performance. And Kepler is used to collect energy-related system stats and export them. So back at the end of 2023 and ran into 2024, we undertook a proof of concept. So the Kepler software was used to track projected power saving and carbon usage savings based on the scaling down of applications. The monitoring of the actual power usage of the service showed real-time reduction in power usage on the service, and the Kepler dashboard showed potential savings of between 30 and 40%. Power monitoring tools showed that the host CPU can take up to 45 minutes to cool down, so this puts the potential savings closer to around 25-30%. The department today is in the process of rolling out light switch ops across all the department's non-production environments, and that allows developers the ability to automatically scale up their own applications if needed during a real downtime. So just on the outcome of the POC itself, like it was the first project, as far as we are aware, in the world to avail of the ability to be able to measure carbon footprint per individual workload. The result is that we have a platform where workloads can be scaled, increased according to demand, or disabled when idle, where systems are made from smaller reusable components and services can continue uninterrupted throughout the year. And as mentioned earlier, there's about 25 to 30% power saving, and that was with one development team at that time. So we're now actively developing using Quarkus, which has rapid startup, and that feeds into our strategy of workloads only when needed. So a little bit more about, I suppose, about open source other than Kubernetes. So I would have mentioned earlier, we are a strong innovator and we actively encourage the use of open source software, and that's to improve processes and affect positive change. The pre-development clusters allows new and innovative technologies to be tested and deployed safely in our enterprise environment. And development and operation teams are already completing POCs on software with the potential to deploy to development and then on to production. And two of the most recent is in relation to Progetti, which is our process automation software, and our logging stack, ELK. Other examples of open software used within the department is Apicuri Studio, GeoServer, QGIS, Maven and Jenkins, and also our front-end technology, Angular, all open source. So it wouldn't be a tech presentation unless I talked about AI, and nowadays we talk about traditional AI and AI, which is Gen AI. And the department is using both in the context of research and analysis projects. We have a number of, I suppose, traditional AI projects, and the ones at the last two at the end are Gen AI. So we have predicting the likelihood of TB outbreaks, image crop analysis claimed under the CAP scheme, which is the Common Agricultural Policy, image analysis for identifying species susceptible to H5N1, which is the bird flu, customer segmentation analysis for developing agri-food policy, and the analysis for identifying risk factor for microbial food safety. The last two, which were done, I suppose, within the IMT group, is around analysing content to produce IT documentation and automatically preparing test scenarios. They were proof of concept using, I suppose, the Gen AI models. On the operations side, we have two, which is the smart tech analysis to prevent and contain data breaches that I would have mentioned earlier on, which is a natural language processing model, and the area monitoring system, which I'm going to talk a little bit about now. And just on the awards, I suppose from the traditional AI perspective, we've won awards in 2022, 23 and 24, and in 23 we won the Future Tech Challenge for predicting the likelihood of TB outbreaks. So a little bit about the area monitoring system. So the AMS system was brought in to monitor area-based schemes in the EU member states. It became mandatory on the 1st of January 2023. And AMS is an observation and assessment of the agricultural activities and practices on agricultural areas by Copernicus Sentinel satellite data. The Copernicus data is gathered automatically every 5 days and is stored to provide up-to-date information as required. The AMS interprets this satellite imagery to provide decisions on agricultural activity on land parcels using computer algorithms. Say, for example, if there was grazing or mowing having taken place, or if crops have been established. So the AMS uses geotagged photographs using a department app known as AgriSnap to verify crops declared. The geotagged photographs contain the GPS location coordinates of where the photo was captured. Parcels monitored by AMS will have a colour-coded results when presented to scheme applicants in green, yellow or red. So if it's a green parcel, it's compliant, and the parcel declaration on the applicant's 2024 BIS, which is the basic payment, application will be processed for payment. If it's yellow, then the AMS processing, there's no further requirement for the applicant, but it is marked as yellow. If it's a red parcel, then it indicates that it's a potential non-compliance and payment will not be made. And just there on the team won the Big Data Innovation of the Year award in the Public Sector Digital Transformation Awards last year. So the AgriSnap, so AMS will monitor 100% of parcels. So pre-January of 2023 it was set at 5% and it's now at 100% automated. As mentioned earlier, the AgriSnap is the department's geotag photo app, and it enables users to take geotagged photographs using their smartphone and submit them securely to DAFM in an efficient and secure manner. So I talked a little about, I suppose, AI within the department, and now I want to talk a little bit about AI in the sector. So AI enables precision farming by analysing data from sensors, satellites and drones, leading to an optimised resource usage and increased crop yield, and also reduces the environmental impact. Additionally, AI assists in automating tasks like harvesting and sorting, enhancing efficiency and reducing labour costs. And its potential in agriculture continues to grow as technology advances. I'd like to just cover three research projects that are funded by the department: App for Farm, Spectral Food and Terrain AI. So App for Farm is a collaborative European research project led by Irish researchers in NTU and partnering with institutions in Italy and Germany. It aims to develop decision support systems for precision farming. Sensor data and machine learning models will be integrated to improve nitrogen management in agricultural systems. In relation to spectrofood, AI is also being deployed in food systems research. And this plans to utilise AI and other technologies to develop digital solutions to accelerate the steps towards a resilient and sustainable supply chain. And finally, Terrain AI is co-funded by Research Ireland, and Microsoft Ireland is another research project that is using innovative AI solutions and technologies integrated with computational models to uncover new insights to support effective climate change decision-making. The project utilises data from forestry, grasslands, cropland and peatland along with other sources. So last one, you can't really talk about AI or emerging technologies or any technologies without talking about threat drivers and the impact it can have on security. So the department takes a risk-based approach to the installation of any application used in the department, and all applications must be used in line with department policies and in line with advice provided by the National Cybersecurity Centre. When using emerging technologies or any technology, it's critical to inform your users and customers and to be fully transparent. To that end, the department has published a number of videos on gov.ie, which outlines some of the use cases that I would have shown here today: the AMS solution, AgriSnap, Kubernetes platform, and the Smart Tech solution. That's it for me. Thanks very much, and I'm happy to take any questions.